If you would turn with me in your Bibles to Chronicles chapter 4. Chronicles chapter 4 and verse 9 and 10. And there you'll find these words. Now Jabez was more honorable than his brothers, and his mother called his name Jabez, saying, because I bore him in pain. And Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, oh, that you would bless me indeed and enlarge my territory, that your hand would be with me, and that you would keep me from evil, that I might not cause pain. So God granted him what he requested. I want to talk today about the journey from bitter to sweet. The journey from bitter to sweet. There are some people that start off in life with quite a bitter hand dealt to them in life. Does it mean that because you were born under adverse circumstances that you have to live that way for the rest of your life? Jabez was one who was born under adverse circumstances. And it is interesting that Jabez's mother put a label on him based on what she was going through. And the pain that she was going through, she imposed it on her child. And how interesting is this, that here a mother who's experiencing pain in childbirth now names her child after her experience. And she called his name Jabez. Jabez means he who causes pain. Isn't that something for your mama to name you pain in the neck? I mean, just think about it. And it's because of what she was experiencing. And this becomes a lesson to us. This becomes a lesson to us that you don't want to end up imposing on the lives of your children negative experience that you will have gone through. I mean, a loving parent says, you know what, I'm having a hard time. I don't want my child to go through what I had to go through. That, you know, that's the heart of love, says, don't do that. But you see, hurt people hurt people. Oftentimes, if you've never gotten healed or had a resolve, this is a result of an unresolved issue. If you don't resolve it in your life, you pass it right on to the next. And if you don't get over your pain, you'll pass your pain on to the next. And so we have to be very careful about what we don't get healed of so that we don't pass it on to our children. Jabez was a good child with a bad label. It's a dangerous thing to label your children after your experiences. It's a dangerous thing. You have to realize that your words, the words of a father, the words of a mother, the words of a guardian, of a grandparent, the words of a coach, the words of a teacher, your words have power. And when children look up to you, your words carry weight. And you see, the character of a son is formed in the breath of his father. It is interesting that this is the very reason why you remember in Scripture, in Genesis chapter 35 and verse 18, when Jacob heard his wife Rachel, as she was bearing a child, here's another mother who now imposes on her child the negative, painful experience that she has as a mother. And she called his name Benoni. Benoni means pain. It means the son of my pain. Son of my pain. She was naming him pain because that's what she was in. But Jacob was there, and he overheard his wife naming the child pain, and he said, no, not on my watch. His name is Benjamin, the son of my right hand. He's the son of my strength. Is not the one that causes pain. This is not pain. Pain won't be labeled on this child. And this is the strength of a father, and this is why children really need a mother and a father, so that when one parent gets frustrated and says something that is demeaning to the child, that the other parent can encourage and build up, edify that child. And so here he is hearing something, the name pain being imposed on the child, and he cancels it, and the name from Benoni, pain, to Benjamin, son of my right hand. But it's a wonderful blessing that what starts out bitter can end up sweet. Thank God that you don't have to stay where you start. What starts out bitter can end up sweet. I've seen people's relationship that started out bitter and ends up sweet. You know, have you ever noticed how sometimes you know, your grandparents, I mean, you learn about your granddaddy, and you discover that he used to beat your grandmama, but you know, by the time you realize him, he's a sweet old man. It's amazing. What started out as bitter can oftentimes end up as sweet. But isn't it wonderful to know that oftentimes the most sorrow, the more sorrow that there is in the experience, the more pleasure that there can be in the outcome. You ever notice how, a terrible storm gives way to beautiful sunshine? Have you ever noticed that weeping that endures for the night is followed by joy that comes in the morning? In fact, if you did not know sorrow, you wouldn't understand joy. One helps you to understand the other. One helps you to understand the other. Cowper said that the pain of sorrow and that path alone leads to the place where sorrow is unknown. Isn't that interesting? That sometimes what started out bitter and sorrowful can wind up as sweet and beautiful. But you see, we have to be so careful in the way that we talk to children. You know why? Because the way that we talk to our children becomes their inner voice. The way that we talk to our children, it becomes their inner voice, and they will start hearing a little voice in their head saying what they have heard us say concerning them. And that's why it perturbs me whenever I hear a parent cursing their child out. Because this tongue is designed to bless and not to curse. And then when you put the label on a child, the label can become self-fulfilling prophecy. But this is what I really love about Jabez. Even though Jabez lived with a negative label on his life, he chose to rise above it. And sometimes what you need is a change of focus. If you change your focus, you'll change your feeling, because your feeling follows your focus. If you're focusing on a terrible thing that happened to you, you'll start feeling sad. If you start focusing on people that owe you money and hadn't paid you back yet, you get angry. Focus determines feelings. If you don't like how you're feeling, change your focus. Change your focus. There's a way to be able to look at everything. And when you're saved, you know, God teaches us to be able to see things through His eyes. We want to say, you know, God, use my eyes. Let me see the world like you see the world. And when you do that, you begin to get a different understanding about life. When you run from problems, you realize in the long run that you're actually running from the promise. Because every promise that God gives us is to overcome a problem. So when you run from problems, you are running from the promise. When you run from the battle, you're also running from the blessing, because the blessing is in the battle. Thank God that Jacob didn't run from the battle with the angel. He wrestled with him all night. But his blessing was in the battle. Don't run from the battle, because there's a blessing. There's a blessing there. Tim Doremus said that a label may describe you, but an identity defines you. A label may describe you, but an identity defines you. The wonderful thing about Jabez is that though his mama put a label on him, he didn't get his identity from the label that his mother put on him as he who causes pain. And my question to you is, where have you gotten your identity? Where have you gotten your identity? Because everybody gets their identity from somebody, somewhere. I mean, whether it's from your school background, your family, your fraternity or sorority, your city, your nation, your ethnicity, your church, your God. Some people get their identity from their circumstances. Some people get their identity based on what they did. But you have to always remember, you are not what you did. You're not what you did. Don't get your identity from your last sin. Don't get your identity from your last mistake. You know that whenever you live closer to the world than you live to God, you can easily have your identity confused. And that's the problem in our world today, is that we have too many people that are living too close to the world and not to God. No wonder their identity is confused, because only God knows their identity. And when you walk with the Father, you get an understanding or an unveiling, a revelation of the identity that God has for you, instead of getting it from the people around you. If you've got an eagle that is being raised by chickens, he will become confused and will walk around the yard when he could stretch his massive wings and take off and fly. And see, this is why that when you're designed to fly as opposed to walking around with chickens, you get your identity so oftentimes from those folks that you surround yourself. Remember that you are the average of the 5 people who are closest to you. Your life, you are the average of the 5 people closest to you. And my question to you, is God in that number for you? Is God in that number for you? Are you really close to God? Because the 5 closest people to you are the one that's determining your identity. Who you're running with, who you're spending your time with, who you spend your time texting, talking to on the telephone, running the streets with, hanging out with, associating with at school, at work. The 5 closest people, you're the average of those folks. So who you surround yourself with then begins to give you an identity. And if all of your friends are sinners, you can so easily become confused, because you take on the identity of other people that's in your atmosphere. But when you draw near unto God, you start realizing, this is not who I am. And when you walk with God and the people around you are doing things that are ungodly, it is so easy to see that this is not like the character of the one that I spend time with, the one that I talked to this morning. And so you have to be careful about where you spend your time and how you spend your time, because your real identity comes out of your God purpose. Your real identity, it comes out of your God purpose. This is why Joyce Sarlo said that people lose their way when they lose their why. They lose their way when they lose their why. Do you know why you were born? Everybody was born for purpose. And when you don't understand your why, abuse is inevitable. You lose your way when you don't understand your why. You were made for more than what's happening in your life right now. You were made for more when you understand your why. Your why will determine your who. And when you start understanding, I understand why I am here. When I understand my why, it helps me to recognize then my who, my who, my who. Because Jesus knew who he was. He understood his who. And that's why he went and tapped Peter, and tapped James, and tapped John, and tapped Thomas, and tapped Luke, and said, follow me. Because when you understand your why, it connects you to your who. But you got to understand your why. You have to live out of your God identity. John Maxwell said that a difficult time can be more readily endured if we retain the conviction that our existence holds a purpose, a cause to pursue, a person to love, a goal to achieve. A goal to achieve. But what do you do when your identity has been established by someone else's negative experience? What do you do when your identity has been established by somebody else's negative experience. And somebody is putting a label on you and saying, you're just like your daddy. It's a label. That's a label. And normally when you hear those words, it's not a compliment. I mean, just trust me, you have been majorly insulted. When somebody said, you are just like your daddy, they have not complimented you in most instances. But what do you do? What do you do when somebody is trying to establish your identity based on someone else's negative experiences? Here's my suggestion. Resolve that you will not be a product of your environment, but a product of your decisions. You make a resolve in your own heart that you will not be a product of your environment, but a product of your decisions. Remember, your decisions determine your character, your conduct, and your destiny, not the label. Your decisions determine your character, your conduct, and your decisions. Your decisions determine your character, your conduct, and your destiny. Your decisions. You can't help the way that you were born, but you certainly determine the way that you die. And here was Jabez, named after his mother's negative experience. What do you do when mama has named you pain? When your mama calls you, every time she calls your name, pain in the neck, come here. Reminding you that you're the person, you're just a pain. You have caused me pain ever since you've been here. What do you do when they're reminding you of a negative existence? What do? You make a resolve that you're not going to be a product of your environment, but you're going to live by your decisions. You see, he might have started off having negative experiences, but he didn't stay there. You don't learn from experience, you learn from reflecting on experiences. That's why they're old fools. They've had a lot of experience, but they don't reflect on it. Reflection turns experience into insight. You don't just learn from experience. There are some people that keep on getting high, and the experience of their getting high the last time didn't teach them any sense. You know why? Because they didn't reflect on the experience that what is this doing to my mind, to my body, to my family, to those that love me, to my job, to my health from a long-term perspective. What is this doing? When you start reflecting on experience, it is reflecting on experience that helps you to learn, not just the experience itself. I see people blindly going through experiences over and over, and they never learn because they're not reflecting. At the end of every day, you ought to have a time of reflection to see how in the world I spent my time. If you don't reflect on what you're doing at the close of the day, you can't make tomorrow any better. You don't learn by experience, you learn by reflecting on your experiences, because reflection turns experience into insight. Reflection turns experience into insight. Jabez didn't remain under the stigma of a bad situation and just accept that as his lot in life. He didn't do that. He didn't just say, well, mama named me this and I guess that's who I am. A pain. And it's no wonder that she didn't have some real serious trouble out of that boy by naming her child Pain. He who causes pain. But how did Jabez handle it? We can learn something by how Jabez took a bitter situation and turned it into a sweet situation, because Jabez changed it, number one, by prayer. He prayed. Jabez prays. He prayed. And I want you to know, Jabez prayed an honorable prayer because he was an honorable man. The thing that I love about Jabez's prayer is that he did not pray for temporary things. You see, what Jabez realized that he realized that he needed a blessing. And he prayed and asked for not the blessings of things, but he asked that God would bless him. He says, God, may you bless me. Because if you bless me, you're going to bless everything I touch. If you bless me, you're going to bless everybody that comes into my life. If you bless me, don't see, we make the mistake, and see, this is what happens, that when you are not honorable, you start asking for carnal stuff. Bless me with the money for this. Bless me with the house. Bless me with the car. Bless me with the shoes. Bless me with the matching pocketbook. No. It's not about that. It's not about that. He didn't ask for things. He didn't ask for things. The Bible said Jabez was more honorable than all of his brothers. And he asked not for things, he asked, God bless me, bless my mind, bless my understanding, bless my focus, bless my desires, so that I will want even the right thing. God bless me, so that whatever is wrong in me, God bless me, give me a divine perspective, give me a favor that comes from you. God bless me, not the house, not the car, not the job, not the wife, not the husband. God bless me. If you make me a blessing, then who is supposed to be in my life will be attracted to me by the blessing that I have become. May you remember this. You never ever have to pursue that which you have the power to attract. God bless me, bless me, because you don't have to pursue what you have the power to attract. If you become the blessing, you start drawing positive things, because people like to be around positive folks, uplifting folks that make them laugh, folks that can lift their spirit. You know, I'm allergic to down negative people that's always complaining and griping and got a sad story every time you turn around. Don't ring my telephone. I have a reserved time to be able to minister to you. I got to have you on a time schedule. I can't deal with 80% of the folks in my life negative. We're called to help them, but you got to have a schedule for that. You know, things that are not pleasant experiences, you have to schedule. It's not a pleasant experience to go to the doctor. You have to schedule that and make it quick. Every time I go there, they tell me about my blood pressure. I said, you know, it was not like this before I got here. I said, it's your office. I took it before I left home. It was fine. It's the place. It's here. Let's get it over with. And here's Jabez. He's trying to make the best out of a bad situation. But he prayed, God bless me. God bless me. You know, I used to watch a lot of Bruce Lee's movies, but one smart thing that Bruce Lee said, he said this. He says, the more we value things, the less we value ourselves. The more we value things, the less we value ourselves. See, the blessing of an honest, holy, Christian father is a rich treasure to his children. It's a rich treasure, a rich treasure. So many pray for a blessing for themselves. But I believe the way that Jabez was saying it here, he was saying basically, God, do something in me so you can do something through me. Bless me, do something in me. Don't ever ask God to do something through you that he's not done in you. He said, bless me, bless me, bless me, help me to get it right. Bless me, correct it in me. Create that joy, that blessedness, that happiness in me, so that then everything else, it flows out of who I have become. Do something in me so you can do something through me. And he didn't just pray a generic prayer of bless me. I wish I had time to really elucidate how he defined this bless me, but I just want you to quickly look at these three things. Jabez asked God specifically to enlarge my territory. Enlarge my territory. He said, bless me, and now he's defining the blessing. Enlarge my territory. In other words, give me greater capacity. Enlarge my platform, my reach, my influence. Enlarge my territory. I'm boxed in right now. I just need an opportunity. Enlarge my territory. Enlarge the possibilities that are in my life. Enlarge my territory. And then he said, allow your hand to be with me. Allow your hand to be with me. That is, he's saying, God, I need your favor. I need the favor of God resting on my life because, mama put it on me that I cause pain. I don't want to cause pain. I want to be a blessing. So he said, I need your hand to favor with me. Allow your hand to be with me. If the hand of the Lord is with you, you'll prosper in the way that you go. And then he asked him the third thing, keep me from evil. Keep me from evil. You know why he was saying keep me from evil? Because his mama had already told him, baby, you're going to cause pain. And he's saying, now keep me from evil. Keep me from shame. Keep me from shame. He didn't ask, I want you to understand what he didn't ask for. He didn't ask for evil to be kept from him. He says, keep me from evil. Because there will always be evil around you. Isn't it amazing that when God created Adam and Eve, formed them out of the dust and put them in the garden, he left something evil in the garden? He didn't keep evil from them. He gave his command and charge to them so that he would keep them from evil. See, there was a tree in the midst of the garden. He says, don't touch this. Don't touch this. He could have kept them from evil by not even having it in the garden. It's not a matter of whether it's in your atmosphere. When God blesses you, there's got to be enough strength on the inside of you from the blessing of God saying, keep me from the evil. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I'm going to walk through things that could kill me. They could hook me and kill me. But God, be with me. Be with me. Keep me from the evil. Keep me, even though there are temptations here, keep me from it. Even though you could access porn on your cell phone, keep me from the evil. Keep me from the evil. There's no place that you can go comfortably in our society today that can keep all of the evil from you. You got to say, keep me from the evil. Keep me from it so that there's not a desire in me. Because if there's a desire in you, you're going to find your way to it.
Thank you for watching Power for Living with Bishop Dale C. Bronner. Join us again next time for Power for Living, where revelation is power. Power for living.